welcome back to the Substantiate Podcast. I'm the host, William Glasser, and this week's episode is a couple days delayed, unfortunately. Peter and I could only record this back in Tuesday afternoon. So I got this out as soon as I could, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Basically, Peter, he hosts a podcast that he'll tell you about in about a minute or so, and then basically we just talked about the two teams from Captain America Civil War, so Iron Man and Captain America, and how they would compete playing basketball. So it's a bit of another spin on the whole Marvel characters playing a sport, just like Marvel heroes versus villains playing ice hockey, which I'll link to down below. When we draft these teams, you might want to just scroll down bottom of the show notes after we're done with the draft so you can see the teams. And I'm going to put it in order that we draft the players. But yeah, I mean, if you don't want spoilers, don't scroll to the bottom quite yet. And if you don't want spoilers, huge spoiler warning for everything in the MCU, except for Loki and Shang-Chi, because I haven't seen those soon. And I know Peter said he's seeing Loki, but not Shang-Chi. Anyway, so, at Substantiate Pod, Instagram, Twitter. That Instagram reel I talked about a couple weeks ago, it's up to 2.9 million views. It's like 11,000 away from 3 million. So if you could go there, like, comment, and save or share, then those are the best ways to help it get to 3 million views. We're almost there. And yeah, so also other things on the Instagram, some big NFL news yesterday, and I also posted a reel yesterday saying why OBJ to the Rams isn't going to hurt any of the Rams that might be on your fantasy football team, so you can go check that out for some fantasy football advice. And without further ado, let's hear from Peter. Today, I'm joined by Peter Kennedy. How are you today, Peter?
I'm doing great, man. Excited for this episode. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. So you have your own podcast, the Subway Sports Talk podcast. You want to tell the listeners about that for a minute?
Absolutely. Thank you for the segue. So basically what I like to do is call it a New York and national sports podcast because it's definitely grounded in New York. I'm a New York guy. Now I live in New Jersey, but I'm counting myself still as a New York guy, born and raised there. And we definitely keep a close eye on our Yankees and Mets, our Knicks and Nets, Giants, Jets, the whole nine. We don't talk a ton of hockey, but you get the picture. However, we also really talk a lot about the NBA at large and the NFL at large. So it's a New York and national sports podcast. You get all that New York flavor that you need where you're hearing about your favorite teams in the tri-state area because Jets and Giants do play in New Jersey technically. And then you also get all the information and takes and opinions that you want NFL wide, as well as I do some picks for NFL, so like gambling type stuff. And NBA, it's a league wide phenomenon where people aren't just interested in the Knicks. They're interested in Damian Lillard or LeBron James or whoever their favorite player might be. They want to hear about the whole league, not just the Knicks. So we talk about it all. I love it. I'm an NBA, NFL junkie. I watch as much as I can. And I have a lot of fun doing the podcast. I have a bunch of my friends on the show, as well as some different guests here and there. And we have a lot of fun with it and try to make you guys think about sports a little bit differently.
Yeah, totally. Sounds great. For all of the New York sports fans, go check it out. So today we're on here and we're talking about the teams from Captain America Civil War and how they would compete playing basketball. So we added a slight variation to this where we're each going to draft 7 players on our teams, and so at least 5 have to be from each of our teams, Captain America or Iron Man. So Peter is Team Cap, and I am Team Iron Man. We did a coin toss before we started recording. So now we can pick at least 5 out of the players that were on each team in the movie, and then we can pick up to 2 other Avengers that were not present in that movie, from Hulk or Thor or any of the Guardians of the Galaxy or Doctor Strange, etc. So, Peter, because I won the coin toss and got to pick my team, you have the first pick. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, and I guess we're not really picking against each other yet. We will be picking against each other once we get to that other Avengers category. So we're kind of picking out of our team, and there's going to be someone on our team who feels real bad when they get left off. There's only going to be one person left off on your team, 2 on mine. So I have Team Captain America, and real quick, we have Cap, Hawkeye, Sharon Carter, Falcon, Bucky Barnes, a.k.a. the Winter Soldier, Ant-Man, and the Scarlet Witch. So for my first pick of this Civil War draft here, I'm going to go with Hawkeye because it's a shooter's league. He shows the ability to be an athlete, and he has that capability to move around the court with precision as well as hit shots from anywhere he needs to on the court. He could be full court. He's a weapon from anywhere he is stepping on the court. He's Steph Curry. Is Hawkeye the Steph Curry of the Avengers? Is that an insult to Steph or Hawkeye? I'm not sure. However, I'm going with Hawkeye because it's a shooter's league. He's going to be on my team no matter what. And he's the only guy maybe without superpowers, not the only, but he has enough skills to make it all worthwhile.
Well, I think Hawkeye, and I think it was Kyle Korver. I think he retired a couple years ago, but didn't he used to do or maybe it's just more general than that.
Yeah.
But
he does. Kyle Korver did it. A couple other people do it too. Jamal Murray as well.
There you go.
On the Nuggets, shoots the arrow. Good call by you.
Yeah, I mean, going back to an episode I did that the listeners might remember from less than a year ago now, but Marvel Heroes versus Villains playing ice hockey, and I was the Heroes team, and I selected Hawkeye for that same reason, just that accuracy. In almost any sport, there's at least one position or one role where accuracy is a key skill. And that is most definitely the case in basketball when you have like a foot-long ball and, there's only room for 2 of them in the basket. So definitely need accuracy. And yeah, I mean, like you said, I don't know if it's an insult to Curry or Hawkeye, but they both definitely have precision when it comes to accuracy. And what position do you think he might play, or are you going to wait to see how the rest of your team fills out?
He's just the classic shooting guard. He's there to get buckets, and that's just what he does. Now, granted, if we're talking precision, and obviously he's a sharp shooter, that precision also comes into play as a passer, right? We've seen him not just utilize arrows to make kill shots in these Marvel films and shows that he's been in, but also to set things up. Sometimes you think he missed. No, he was shooting at the thing behind you to blow something up and take you down. So he's not just a shooter, but he will be the 2 guard. He's not going to be the primary facilitator, but when he swings, swinging the ball around the key, he's going to make the precise pass to some other members of the Captain America team and really, be versatile. On defense, he might be a liability. We'll see how he holds up against some of the guys on the Iron Man team.
Yeah, because that is one of the things with him, like we were discussing a little bit before we started recording, where as opposed to, for example, Justice League, where a Batman or Superman has some, just natural superpowers. Here, some of the characters or players, whether it's Hawkeye or you can also argue Falcon or even Iron Man, it's really either a machine or, in this case with Hawkeye, are just really good at a skill.
Yeah.
So now moving on to my first pick for this one, and just like you recapped your team, I'll recap the Iron Man squad. So it's Iron Man, War Machine, Black Widow, Black Panther, The Vision, and Spider-Man. So with my first pick here, I'm going to go with The Vision. So Here, it's kind of interesting. Obviously, there's the show last year, WandaVision. Well, Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, is on Team Captain America here. So this is before all that. So when people think of the Vision, most of the time they're thinking about whether from the show or from Avengers Infinity War, and they're thinking about a lot of the post-Civil War Vision, when in this case, he's still a bit more primitive. The Avengers are still sort of getting used to him, but he's just so powerful, and Team Captain America might not see what's coming their way. What's he have? The Mind Stone, right? And being able to, I guess, use those powers in ways to control the floor. And
one of the interesting things about Vision is the power that sticks out to my mind when I think of Vision first is that ability he has where he can kind of go transparent and things can travel through him. And then, he'll mix it up on him, and then you go to punch him, he goes invisible or whatever. And he comes back to like full matter, and you get stuck like through his body. Like, that's some crazy stuff. Now, going transparent on the basketball court may not always be the best power to have, but if, say, Vision's driving to the hoop, and even if, say, I have Hulk on my team right now, Hulk could be coming in to try to hack Vision and say, you're not getting an easy bucket in my paint. Vision goes transparent right through the Hulk. Layup is good. And there you go. So the power seemed like it might have been not effective on the basketball court. However, he can use that to his advantage.
Yeah, so I'd say there really are just a couple cases where this is really useful. A, if you're on defense, well, you can't set a pick on him because he's going right through you. And then secondly, you're driving to the hoop or going in for a dunk, although he can fly. So this might wind up being a little bit like Quidditch if you have Iron Man and Falcon and now the Vision all flying. You got tons of different things going on. It's a 3D game, but just the ability to get into not even need a lane. Obviously, you'll have to get the ball around. I'm not sure the ball can go through if he's driving to the basket, but definitely a useful skill there. So in that case, I see him maybe playing small forward or power forward. So I think that, in that way, it can really suit him. And then again, on defense, whether it's dodging, not even dodging, going through a pick or just being able to get big and physical. I mean, he's a machine, so he can get physical.
Absolutely. It's a great pick. And you know what? I was looking because before we did our coin flip, I'm like, all right, who am I going to be? Who might get left off of my team? And I was like, damn, Vision might be the most powerful on the board right here. But would he get left off on the basketball draft? And apparently not. He's the first pick for your team. I like
it. All right. What is your second pick going to be?
I'm going to get this one over with because, it's Team Cap. Do I want to pick Cap on my team? Maybe, maybe not. But I have to pick Cap. You need that veteran leadership. He's been around the block. Captain America is going to be on Team Cap. It's just how it is. Maybe I could just say he's going to be a coach, but he possesses some skills and some determination that is going to go very well on the basketball court. Talked about precision with Hawkeye, with passing. Think about what Cap has done with that shield. He can fling that thing on a dime wherever he wants it. Same thing's going to go for him as a facilitator here. Now, he's not going to be my point guard per se. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go like this, Magic Johnson style. Captain America is going to be the point guard of this team. He's going to be the facilitator. He's going to be maybe not the best shooter from range. He's a little bit too bulky. You don't see the guys with the big muscles who can shoot the three ball too well, but he can do everything else on the floor. He has the precision as a passer. He can attack the rim, get to the free throw line, lock up anybody that he wants on defense. He's really a point forward because of the size and strength, but he's going to be the facilitator of my team. And looking through some of the people I have to make picks on moving forward, I think I need Cap to run point here.
Yeah, I mean, and you can always adjust that later, but that's, again, someone that on a regular basketball court is going to be great defensively. It'll be interesting when going up against other superheroes.
Yeah, no, he what's the famous word from Avengers? Is it Endgame? I can do this all day. Like I could see him, going up against Vision, up against Spider-Man, against Black Panther. He might get crossed up once. He might get dunked on. He don't care. He has enough pride to keep fighting. He's going to keep going. He could do this all day. He'll take a dunk on the head from War Machine, and he'll come right back down the floor and try to return the favor. So, I almost wanted to leave Cap off my team, but really thinking about it, he's just too damn valuable. He brings too much to the table. And, even if you think about him over the course of time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like he grew a lot. He was Mr. Goody Goody. He had to play by the book. He had to do all the rules. And all of a sudden, with growth, he starts to realize, I got to play dirty every once in a while. I got to mix it up with people. I got to get in this elevator, tell them Hail Hydra, and then before they know it, smack them all around. So I like what Cap can bring to the table, this mature Cap, because, that was actually before, after Civil War. I might be jumping the gun, but we'll count it. Anyway, Cap's on my team.
Yeah, definitely a great pick. All right, so now with my second pick, I'm going to go with Black Panther. This is someone that, the whole plot behind Civil War, it starts with Black Panther. This is the first time we see him in the MCU. This is, or for him, his father dies, and then, vengeance is a little strong, but he is out there for some way to make sure his father doesn't die in vain and try to continue on with the good that the Avengers have done to this point. And this whole thing, it started, and I think we saw clips of it in WandaVision last year, but with civilian casualties. And I was watching a YouTube video to prepare for this episode, and it said that there were 300 civilian casualties that they attributed to the Avengers, which ultimately led to a lot of this. And so when you think about it in terms of aliens coming and invading New York City and all of the other things that have gone on, 300 doesn't seem that bad. And The Incredible Hulk, also New York City. But still, anyway, for Black Panther, this is his time to shine with his powers, his suit being able to absorb the impact. So, he's definitely going to be another forward on my team, and someone that, he's going to stand down there. He'll take the charge. He'll do whatever he needs to do. And in turn, it's going to benefit him because it's going to, say he takes the charge. Well, now he's going to use that energy and bolt down the floor and, be wide open somewhere.
It's a great choice. You could put him at forward or guard. He's a versatile guy. I think he could play all over the court. I don't know if his size would match up with someone like War Machine or, even we'll get into maybe my later picks about size. We can talk about that in a minute. But no, he can play anywhere on the court, Black Panther. And he's also like Captain America in the sense that he's got the leadership. He's got the willing to, get his teammates going. He's not going to be a me guy. He's not going to be looking for the spotlight. He's going to be looking to win. That's what Black Panther does. Beautiful pick there. Ready for my number 3 pick here?
Yeah, of course.
All right, here we go. My best pick of the game here, of this little exercise we're doing here, goes to one of the strongest Avengers out there, perhaps top 3 strongest Avenger in the game. Some would say. I don't know. It's arguable. Depends where we are at in the timeline, perhaps. And you know who I'm talking about. That's Scarlet Witch. That's Wanda Maximoff herself. She's going to come on my team, and she's going to be, let's say she's going to be my do-it-all small forward, because she doesn't have the size to maybe hang with some of the strong guys, but she's got every other power known to man. She could control your mind. She could basically take War Machine, even Spider-Man, even maybe Tony Stark. I think she's done that before, right? She messed with Tony Stark's mind. She could have you shooting in the wrong basket. All of a sudden, second quarter, Tony Stark gets a rebound, goes right back up, puts it in, realized that it was a defensive rebound, and Wanda was like, got him. So she's got too many talents to leave off this roster. She's my small forward. She can shoot. She can score. She can play D. She gets in your head. She's going to be a frustrating player to go against, and she's one of the strongest Avengers out there. If you had to rank, quick aside here, if you had to rank your strongest Avengers, wouldn't she be in that?
Yeah, definitely top 3, top 5. Yeah, I think on most lists, when you look it up and see people's rankings, I think she's definitely up there, 1 or 2 usually.
Captain Marvel, Thor, and Wanda. That's it. That's the big 3 right there. I don't think anyone else can hang as far as strength. I think she's right there. Maybe
Yeah.
Vision. I guess Vision would be in there too, but he's a little weird with his combat sometimes.
It's sort of weird in the sense that, okay, Wanda and Vision, in some ways they have sort of similar powers in the sense that the Mind Stone gives Vision certain magical powers, but realistically, all of it is magical. This is, the MCU, not real life, but but at the same time, right, the Mind Stone, at least they have a scientific, as I put in air quotes, explanation for it, coming from the beginning of the universe, as opposed to Wanda, where, she's just the Scarlet Witch. So there's a bit of a difference there, and I would agree that Wanda would be a little more powerful then. All right, let me take 1 minute before I get to my third pick to tell you about Built Bar. If you've been listening to the podcast for at least, the last several months, I've been talking about Built Bar. They're my favorite snack. They're a protein bar, delicious, super healthy. They've got some limited time flavors right now. They have coconut brownie chunk, which they sent me a sample of. That one was delicious. It's just their regular coconut one, so a bit of a sweet bar with brownie chunks on it. Delicious. They have a mystery flavor where you can actually guess what flavor it is and potentially win. I think it's like up to $10,000 cash. So if you're interested in that, and those are actually also on sale. And then, as well as all the other flavors, blueberry muffin, they also sent me that. That was delicious. Peanut butter brownie, I know my dad tried that one. He liked it. Mint brownie, as always, delicious. Double chocolate, I think, might be the best bar they sell right now. Or ever, really. It's always a great go-to if you want some chocolate. Anyway, Built.com, use code SUBSTANTIATE to save yourself 10% off on that final purchase. And, maybe you don't like the full bars. Well, they've got Built Bites, which are a bit smaller, Built Boost, which is some immune defense. So there is something for everyone from Built.com. Again, code SUBSTANTIATE, save yourself 10% off. All right, so now on to my third pick. Left on the board for me, I have Iron Man, War Machine, Black Widow, and Spider-Man. So for this pick...
Tough decisions. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for this one, I am going to go with Iron Man, just like you went with Captain America. And the way I look at it, I'm not sure if I'm going to take War Machine later, but Iron Man and War Machine, they are similar in many ways. And I'd say that Tony Stark is probably a bit more experienced in his suit than Rhodey might be. And, just comfortable. Again, another person that may have some selfish tendencies, but at the end of the day, he was still the one that winds up, well, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Avenger Endgame, but...
It's been a few years. There's no spoilers anymore.
But he does wind up dying at the end of that movie, so definitely at the end of the day, someone that's willing to do it all. And
yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and for me, I'm trying to think about where he would go on the floor. I guess at this point, I put Vision and Black Panther at forward, so I'm going to put him, I guess, at point guard. I think that he also, has that sort of captain mentality, a bit like Black Panther might, or Captain America, in the sense that, he might not be the best distributor. Again, going back to some of those selfish tendencies. But at the end of the day, I think that Russell Westbrook, he's a very good passer. Does he still take too many shots? Yes. So I think that might be a little bit of an Iron Man situation here.
Oh, man, that's a huge insult to Iron Man. You're comparing him to Russell Westbrook. Now, listen, that's a good point by you, though, with the selfish tendencies. Though, you know what? It's a fair one. It kind of hurts my feelings because Iron Man is awesome and Russell Westbrook has not been so awesome in the past couple of years. But I like where your head's at there. Now, the best part about your selection here, though, is that now Iron Man is your point guard and Captain America is my point guard. And I don't think that even happened on purpose. That was organic. And now we have the true Civil War head to head. So that opening possession, whoever wins the tip, you're going to give the ball to your point guard. And Cap is going to be checking Iron Man or vice versa. And that's just good. That's just good drama right there. Who's not signing up to watch that?
Definitely.
I guess are we on to my fourth pick here, huh?
Yep. Almost halfway through.
All right. So my fourth pick, and I'm going to give a little spoiler as well. Because I have two guys who are not going to make my team, or two characters who are not going to make my team. I'm only going to pick one of the Falcon or the Winter Soldier. This is something I decided as I was looking through this list here. And I'm thinking about those two guys on the basketball court. We got Falcon. Obviously, he's got his suit. He can fly around. That's big. He's got precise bombs he can drop from the top and get it into the hoop, maybe drop some passes and alley-oops. Who knows? On the other hand, you got Bucky Barnes with his super soldier serum in him. He's got the arm that's now vibranium. Well, I guess it wasn't vibranium back in Civil War times, but who knows anymore. He's special, right? He's a warrior. He's going to fight. He's going to do all the things you want on the team. However, I could see him being kind of a doof shooting a basketball. I think he's too strong. He's got that arm that's going to be hard to control with shooting a basketball. I could see him shooting the basketball right through the backboard. Talk about comparisons to Russell Westbrook. Bucky Barnes is going to be laying some bricks down there. So I'm going with Falcon. And not Bucky Barnes. I'm going to put Falcon at the power forward position. He's got some size. He's got strength. He's got the suit to get up big, to guard some big defenders, protect the rim a little bit, finish some dunks with the little help from his rockets on his back. And he's just a fun guy to have on the team. You need somebody to keep it light. Cap's pretty serious. Wanda, she's kind of serious as well. She's not comedic relief very often. Hawkeye can be comedic relief for sure. But he's also the guy who's just there to get buckets. He's not there to lead. Falcon's going to keep things light. If Cap gets a little bit worked up, he'll make a little stupid joke. Cap will start feeling better. And when Cap retires, as we know, spoiler, that might be too much of a spoiler, but then Falcon could take over the captaincy and continue to grow his legacy.
Yeah, and I think when I go back and record the intro for this episode, I'm going to put in a big spoiler alert there if you have not seen Marvel movies and intend to do so. Right. And that's not really a spoiler from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, right? I mean, if you just watch the trailer, it's implied. Yeah. So Falcon there, and did you give him a position?
Yeah, he's going in a power forward.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, when you look at these positions and body types, if you will, Falcon and Captain America, right? You might expect it to be the other way around, but in this case, we're really assigning positions more so based off of powers and abilities rather than size or physical attributes. So that is one reason why this may not look as you would expect if you saw these two teams line up.
And realistically, in today's NBA, right, like you have guys who are all shapes and sizes playing all over the place. You have point guards like Ben Simmons. Now, I know he's a little bit of a tough guy to talk about right now. He's not even playing, but he's a 6'10" point guard. Even guys like, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is like 6'6". Like, he's really tall playing point guard. Cade Cunningham, the rookie on the Pistons, he's kind of a big point guard style player. So there's a lot of players in the league right now. LeBron James, right? Like, for that matter, Captain America, why couldn't he be the LeBron James here? Like, he might be technically a small forward, but in reality, he's kind of playing point guard the whole time out there.
Definitely. Yeah, it's sort of interesting when you talk about that. There was one time last year I was playing NBA 2K with one of my friends, and we did random teams. And I forget if I was the Lakers or the Sixers, but he was the other. And at the time, Dennis Schroeder was a Laker. So having that matchup, Dennis Schroeder, who's like 6'1" versus 6'10" Ben Simmons, that was crazy. And I mean, on defense, I kept having to make adjustments, which isn't always the easiest thing to do in 2K if you don't play crazy like I do. But I mean, in real life, like if you took an Isaiah Thomas from the Celtics, I don't know, 2017 or whenever he was an MVP candidate, like he was like what, 5'7", my height, or maybe even a little shorter, and you put that against someone more than a foot taller than him, that would be crazy. But in this case, it just comes down to the supernatural abilities.
Yeah, it could work out. And in 2K, Ben Simmons isn't afraid to shoot and drive to the rim. So he can drive right through Dennis Schroeder and take a layup or maybe dunk it. And, you know, in real life, it's a little tough for him to get there. That's okay. I'm not trying to make this a Ben Simmons slander appointment here. But I do actually like Ben Simmons. He's one of the guys I've been pulling for. It's just hard to root for him at this point in time. I digress.
Yeah, he's pulling every string he can, and there are plenty of strings to be pulled in the NBA. Anyway, so moving on here now to my fourth pick. In this case, I am going to go with Black Widow. She is someone that I think, now, I mean, just talk about team players in general. Black Widow is a team player. So she will definitely fill in. She isn't afraid to stand up to Tony Stark when need be. She's someone that, again, extremely physical. For me, she's going to be the shooting guard on my team. And, I mean, just like Hawkeye, I mean, we've seen her pull out pistols. She definitely has accuracy when it comes to that. She might not be quite the level of a shooter that Hawkeye is, but she is definitely up there in terms of these players we're talking about. So, I mean, defensively, again, she's a bit smaller, but
her strength though, she's got quickness. She can read her opponent. Have you seen the Black Widow movie?
Yeah,
you know, she got obviously Taskmaster in that film is the one who's trained to absolutely mimic what the other person's doing. But Black Widow has a lot of that in her game already, like where she's kind of reading the offense coming at her and defending and reacting. So she can defend. And you know what's so funny here? You have Cap and Iron Man at point guards. So they're going head to head. You got Scarlet Witch and Vision as the forward positions going head to head. And now you got Hawkeye and Black Widow going head to head at the shooting guard position. We got a bunch of rivalries cooking up here. I guess that's the point of Civil War. But head to head now, even position by position, this is getting interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you are talking about defensive matchups, I think that putting her at shooting guard definitely benefits her going up against a Hawkeye who, you know, she can get there. She can definitely try to jump high and block a shot. I'm not sure what the actual height difference is there because Hawkeye is definitely a bit taller than Black Widow. But at the same time, you know, if there's anyone that I would want her to guard, it's probably going to be Hawkeye due to the lack of supernatural abilities, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And realistically, if you're talking athleticism, I think Black Widow's got him beat, right? She's more athletic than Hawkeye.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's a good matchup we got here. Good matchup. Are we on to my last pick?
Yep. So this is your fifth picks. This is your last one out of Sharon Carter and Ant-Man, because you said you would not be picking the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I think Bucky's just going to be, you know, moral support. It's not really his strong suit, but it's kind of a funny role to put him in. Like he's just going to sit on the bench and have a smug face on. He's going to look really mad. He's going to be the intimidator maybe from the bench.
Yeah, if I'm the referee, I am not calling anything on Team Captain America because you see that guy sitting courtside, he is not afraid to come out and get you.
Yeah, part of his like parole that he had to go through for getting back indoctrinated into the United States, where he wasn't like a convict anymore, was he had to coach this basketball team. So that's why Bucky Barnes is my coach. He's going to be there angry looking at all the referees. So this one is tough. Sharon Carter is incredibly resourceful, as we've seen her be throughout the MCU here. She's also way more athletic than, you know, she would get credit for normally, especially compared to all these people. But there's one choice here, and it's Ant-Man. Ant-Man is the man who could change from incredibly small to incredibly large. Now, if he goes, you know, to the incredibly large use of his powers, then he might pass out on the court. It's not something that you want here, but maybe he just pulls that out at one point in the game to get really big when we really need a big stop late in the fourth quarter. All of a sudden, there's a 25-foot man on the court. His head is through the ceiling, which, again, could be a problem. They can just dribble around him. He won't be able to see anything. However, Ant-Man is my center. He's going to get small sometimes, too. The best part about it is you think you got a layup coming through. You think you're in there, but he's protecting the paint. You're not even going to see him. He's going to be Ant-Man, tiny Ant-Man. He's going to come right back up, boop up, and he's in front of the rim, making a block on a dunk attempt here. So I think that's my center. Also, that goes the same way for the offensive end with alley-oops. It's like, oh, my God, Hawkeye missed. Nope. He was passing to Ant-Man. You just can't see him. He's so small, and alley-oop converted. So that's my center right there. And there's my starting five.
Yeah, there you go. And I think that the way your team is constructed, that was put together beautifully, right? You say Ant-Man, and I'm like, oh, that's genius, because the center position is the last starting position there, and that really fits together perfectly. Ant-Man is just a player where, again, he might not be able to stay big that long, because one of my players, hint, hint, if you've seen Civil War, you might know who's coming next for my team, just talking about Ant-Man, but he is definitely someone there that has tremendous upside on the basketball court. And talking about those alley-oops, also Falcon swooping in, catching the alley-oop, that one could work also. And I mean, I really wonder how this whole goaltending thing would work between whether it's Ant-Man or whether it's Hawkeye or whether it's on my team, the Vision or Iron Man. Anywhere up there, that would sort of be a bit tricky to distinct whether the ball is still going up or going down, considering that Ant-Man could be 20 feet tall, yet the basket is only 10 feet.
Yeah, it's true. And that's why I have Bucky as my coach, because he's just going to make sure there's no goaltending against our team. He's just going to be staring down the referee. That's a good point, though, because, right, you ever there's a game, this might be before your time. It's like, because I think I played it on like the original PlayStation or something like that. But it was a Space Jam basketball game, like, on PlayStation, like the original first PlayStation. So in there is obviously Michael Jordan, Bugs Bunny, Sylvester Stallone, the Road Runner, like all those characters in the Looney Tunes, right? Yep. And there was goaltending. It was kind of like NBA Jam, same concept, right? Like you could actually block a shot and goaltend, but there's still that ability. You can't block the shot when like you're dropping it from straight ahead, like straight on top. So like when Falcon swoops in from above the rim, can he drop it straight down? Not allowed to block that one. But if like Hawkeye's shooting from three, can Iron Man or Vision fly up into the middle of the court, like from the free throw line and block that? I think so. Right. So there's definitely some goaltending things there, but that referee is going to have a tough night. I'll tell you.
Well, and then there's one other thing with all these flying characters, and this is sort of debated a bit in basketball. What happens if a player takes off from behind the 3-point line and jumps all the way to dunk? Is that where 3 points or 2 points? There could be potentially that when it comes to Hawkeye. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case with, Captain America, who definitely has the physical capability to do that, but with the defenders there, I don't think it'll happen too much. But one scenario where that could happen is Hawkeye just taking off even before half court and just waiting up there, getting the pass and dropping it down.
Yeah, I think the dunk thing, that's an interesting point. I would say in this game here, if you use a power on your jump, then it doesn't count as 3. It only counts as 2. Because like if Iron Man jumps from the 3-point line and dunks it, that's a 3. But if he jumps and then uses a little rocket action to kind of go up there and stay up, that's like a second jump. That's like a Euro step. That's the hero step right there.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the hero step. So like maybe Black Panther has the ability to jump and dunk from the 3-point line. But if he jumps and then uses his suit energy to like whatever and get an extra a little hero step, then it only counts as 2. That's my take on it.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that works. And now before I get on and make my 5th pick, I just want to take another second and tell you about Fanatics.com. Fanatics.com is basically the website where you go to buy any clothes for any of your favorite sports teams, from the NFL, college, MLB, NBA, NHL, soccer, and even NASCAR. You can go there right now in the month of November. They have all these really cool camo jerseys and sweatshirts and hats, all kind of things for the NFL for Veterans Day. And as well as, maybe you want to go on and buy a Braves World Series champions t-shirt or hat, that one. Those really also look great. And just anything else that you could want sports-wise, a t-shirt, anything. They've got all kinds of brands on here, So go on. Maybe you're getting ready for Black Friday and you want to get something nice. Well, you can go do that at Fanatics.com. So you can click on the link in the show notes or go to www.substantiatepod.com and click on this episode to click on that link, so that way with the different cookies and stuff, your purchase gets traced back here so that you can support the show. So now, moving on to my fifth pick between Spider-Man and War Machine. I am definitely going with Spider-Man here. He's not even going to be a starter for me. I'm going to have one of the other Avengers be a starter. Ooh. Because in the movie, what happens, well, Tony Stark shows up in, Queens, right, where Peter Parker lives, and shows up in Aunt May's apartment and recruits him. So in this case, he came off the bench, and for me, he's going to come off the bench, and that's what I was alluding to with Ant-Man. Spider-Man coming in, he's going to have some interesting game plans, whether it is from Star Wars, whether it is from The Empire Strikes Back with taking down the Walkers and taking down Ant-Man, but he'll definitely add a little bit of life coming off of the bench. And I mean, he's definitely a sixth man candidate here with just, everything you could want from a bench player.
Yeah, great pick. You can't not have him on your team. I like what you did there, incorporating how Civil War actually played out into utilizing him off the bench. That's a good job by you. And Spider-Man's one of the coolest heroes out there. Personally, he might be my favorite character. Maybe not, let me not say my favorite character. He might be my favorite hero in the MCU, or not even the MCU, just in general, like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, not Tom Holland Spider-Man, but like in general, it's a great movie. All the Tobey Maguire ones from back in the day. Even Andrew Garfield gets a little bad rap every once in a while. And you never know. Apparently, according to Twitter and all the reports and whatnot, we might see all three of them come together in December. We don't know. Obviously, the speculation here. So Spider-Man's freaking awesome. You can't not have him on your team. And maybe at center, he could be outmatched. But you made a nice play there by putting him off the bench and incorporating Civil War's plot into this whole thing.
Yep. All right. So now moving on to the other Avengers here. You have the first pick when it comes to this. So
do I or no? I feel like you should, because I picked first in Captain America. No.
Okay. Sure. Pick, yeah. So I'll go first here. And so I do still need a center and then one other bench player. So when it comes to center, you look at these teams, and I think I'm going to go with Wasp to sort of counter Ant-Man. Now, in the movies, I'm pretty sure we only see her become smaller, but pretty sure her suit has the ability to become larger. So going with Wasp in this case as my center. And for all the reasons we talked about Ant-Man, Wasp is basically the same thing but flying. So
now I'm surprised you didn't think about Hulk there as the center.
Yeah, so I did think about that, but just like you were saying with the Winter Soldier. There's just that sense of too much physicality, maybe like Dwight Howard coming out, getting a bunch of tacks, and, he might be good as, that coach or guy in the front row for my team to intimidate the refs, but in this case, I'm going to stick with Wasp.
Now, I like where that's going too. You get Professor Hulk in Endgame, where he's kind of scary guy, but also, Mark Ruffalo. Sam. He's also. Why can't I think of Hulk's name in the movie? Like his real name.
Bruce Banner.
There we go, Bruce Banner. I got stuck there for a second. He's Bruce Banner and Hulk, Professor Hulk at the same time, and him versus Bucky Barnes are the head coaches of these two teams. See, I could imagine Professor Hulk with a normal size clipboard trying to draw up a play and be like, these markers are too small. That's great. That's great theater right there. And I like the reasoning for Wasp. So, all right, on to my first bench player. So this will be my sixth man, or perhaps my sixth woman, if you will. And I talked about the strongest person on the between the Team Cap and Team Iron Man pool, maybe Scarlet Witch. Let's go with the strongest MCU hero we have to our knowledge right now, and that's Captain Marvel. I think it's almost a cheat code to take her as my sixth man and bring her off the bench, but I can't pass it up. She's just too damn powerful. She can run through everybody, as we saw in Endgame. She can fly, shoot. She's strong. She has great willpower. She does have a tendency to maybe disappear and fight bigger problems than what we see here on Earth. So maybe she might not show up for a game or two, pull a Dennis Rodman, which for different reasons, obviously. I don't know why I said Dennis Rodman, but you get the idea. She might bounce out for a game or two because she has some bigger fish to fry. But when she's there, she's going to be elite and she's going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a Kyrie Irving, if you will, last year. Just disappears for a couple weeks, personal reasons, and shows back when he felt that the time was right. So
exactly, the skill is unmatched, but you never know where his head's at.
Exactly. All right, so one of the disadvantages of me putting Spider-Man as a bench player being in one of my first 5 picks is that, well, now when it comes down to it, you probably just pick the best player from the other Avengers pool of players here because I went with Wasp. So in this sense, I have to sort of counter that off the bench in a way that Spider-Man doesn't necessarily do the trick yet. And for that reason, I am going with Thor. So unlike Hulk, which I still could have picked if I wanted to, but Thor is, he's the god of thunder. So he can make anything happen. In my opinion, he might even be a little like James Harden in the sense that he can get fat when he needs to. I'm sure you saw those pictures of James Harden showing up to the Houston Rockets practices right before he got traded last year, where it looked like he almost had a fat suit on. It looked like he gained 15 pounds. And again, as we see in Avengers Endgame, Thor is up there in, Norway or one of those Scandinavian countries, and he has put on some weight. So,
say the least. That's hilarious. You said James Harden, and because he put on weight, I was also thinking Thor on the court could be like Zion Williamson, and Zion Williamson also found a way to put on some weight this offseason. So some common denominators there between Thor, Zion, and James Harden.
Yeah, and Zion to this point still hasn't seen the court. So
true. He's hiding out. He's playing video games with Korg. With Korg. There you go. That's good stuff. All right, I think I got one more pick here, huh?
Yep.
All right. This is tough. There's one pick that I think is kind of like a pretty incredible pick here to have, like almost cheat code level status.
Yeah.
So let's talk through it here for a second because you're out of picks. So I have
true.
2 options here. Let me see can you guess who the 2 people I'm thinking between here are?
So I'm thinking Doctor Strange because you
That's
have
one.
your cursor next to him on the Google Doc we're looking at.
You're slick here, bro. That's good.
I'm thinking Doctor Strange, and then the other one, I think I might guess Groot.
Oh, good job. That's exactly the two who I
There
was
we
thinking
go.
between there. Groot, he's the big man off the bench. I don't have a traditional big man on the team. I only have Ant-Man, who is a sporadic big man. He's
Well,
got some
it
good
depends what
skills.
version of Groot you're getting.
That's true. I might get baby Groot. I don't know. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, where is Groot at during Civil War? I don't know if did we have Guardians yet
I'm
in
not
Civil
sure,
War time?
but
I would have
for
to, I
this
would have to
case,
look at
he
the
can
timeline.
be large Groot.
He could be OG Groot, which is from the first Guardians. Even teenage Groot might be able to get the job done. He's kind of a savage in his own right. Oh man, because Doctor Strange can just like open up a portal. Another portion where Hawkeye, throws the ball seemingly out of bounds, so you think he misses, and then Doctor Strange just puts a portal over here on the sideline, and
Right
then boom,
above the
the
hoop.
ball's right above the hoop. That almost feels like cheating. That feels like
Ugh.
it's not fair. So for that fact alone, I'm going with Groot.
All right.
I'm going to take Groot. I'm going to take normal size, big Groot, big boy Groot from the OG Guardians of the Galaxy film to play that backup role. He's also got incredible wingspan. Wingspan is one of those terms that everyone talks about in the NBA, right?
Yeah.
So he's got the wingspan. He can guard everybody. He can probably make some really easy handoff passes across the entire court. You could run him. You could run the offense through him. He might be Nikola Jokic. He might be Bill Walton. He's just standing at the top of the key, and he's just kind of looking, reading the court, drops off a pass over here. He can do whatever he wants. So I'm taking Groot as my last bench spot, and large Groot to be specific.
Yeah, I think that is a great pick. And I mean, need be, if one of your players is about to take a fall, Groot can just turn into a ball and go around him and take the fall.
Yeah, if we also pop a basketball with all these powers and all these strong folks we have on the court, Groot can just roll up into a ball, or he can make one out of stick, and we can just play with Groot. So every time we score, it counts for our team.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Thor doesn't have his axe yet versus the hammer, but, ultimately, the handle of his axe does come from Groot. So Groot is definitely there to help replace things.
Groot is like that's so true. Wow, look at these parallels we're drawing. Groot is the unsung hero so often. Like, even in Guardians 2, when he's baby Groot, he almost blows it like over and over again, ends up making the play. At the end, he kind of might drive you. Even a teenage Groot, he's not paying attention, but then all of a sudden he sacrifices his arm for Thor's axe. Like, he does a lot. Saved all the Guardians in Guardians 1. Groot is unsung hero, and he's the cutest baby Groot I've ever seen in my life.
Well, and then in Guardians 2, when he's the only one that can fit through to place the bomb, and Rocket's like, whatever you do, do not push the red button. Okay, test. Which button do you press? And then he presses the wrong one over and over. And so Rocket might need to be there again, maybe in a sort of role just like Bucky might be, just check in, assistant coach, make sure Groot is doing okay. But ultimately, yeah, definitely an unsung hero.
So if Bucky is my head coach and Rocket's my assistant coach, do you have Professor Hulk as your head coach? Who's your assistant coach?
Yeah, so I guess Hulk would be my head coach. And then, I think my assistant coach, I would have to go with Star-Lord on this one because he probably has the most cultural knowledge in this sense.
Of basketball?
Listen, music, basketball, close enough in this sense, considering that so many of these people have either spent their whole lives being soldiers or not from Earth. So, Spider-Man, he might know more about basketball. Black Widow, probably not. Iron Man, maybe. Black Panther, not sure if they have basketball in Wakanda. And then there's always Vision, who could probably be a great coach if he needed to be, in the sense of scheming, but maybe not, getting his players hyped up. But ultimately, he's one of my forwards, so not needed. But
also on the Star-Lord front, as your assistant coach, I thought you were going to add this too. Great at devising a plan.
Yeah.
So maybe if Professor Hulk gets frustrated because the clipboard's too small, Star-Lord comes in, he draws the great out of timeout play. All of a sudden, he's getting the glory on the sideline because he's got the best plans in the business.
Yeah. So now you mentioned inbounding plays, and right, two common inbounding plays are the stack and the box, where you have the offense. There's 4 of them. They're either stacked so the defenders can't be in between them, or they're in a box and they each make a cut in a certain direction. And with all of these different players, some of which that can fly, some that can't, those situations would be really interesting to see, whether it's some kind of 3-dimensional box or prism or some kind of strange looking stack, but maybe it's a vertical stack.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's going to be interesting because the powers can get, do they have to wait until the ball's inbounded to use their powers? Like that's another thing to play, right? Like do they have to be stagnant until the ball's in play? And then all of a sudden you see Ant-Man go from normal size to small, jump out of the way, boom, like all crazy stuff's gonna be going down out here.
Yeah, definitely. So ultimately, before we start wrapping this up, what are maybe 2 or 3 key factors that you think would decide this game between your team's offense and defense and my team's offense and defense?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the one thing that I love about my team is the sharp shooting of Hawkeye. And I think if he figures out a way to make sure that he can't get that shot blocked, that he works out a way to not get blocked all the time because there's too many athletes on the other team. I think he's going to be somebody who can put up the threes that I don't know if you'll have shooters on your team that can keep up with his pace as far as shooting. And then other than that, the versatility of this team, I think Groot off the bench is going to be an unsung hero again. Like that's just his role. He's unsung hero. He comes in when you guys are having a run. He can guard anyone on the team. He can stand in the middle of the paint, mess everything up. He can get the offense run through him. So I think he's going to make a big play or a big impact on the game. And then, I think the leadership of Cap is relentless. And I don't know if there's a real winner in Civil War, if you will. They both kind of come out as winners and losers in a way, right? So I don't know if Cap, but he's just determined and he's going to get it done and he's going to rally those troops. And the Scarlet Witch Captain Marvel factor gives me 2 of the 3 strongest heroes in the game. So I like my odds with that stuff. But on your front, I would be nervous about what Spider-Man can bring to the table with the web shooting and his athleticism. And yeah, I mean, when you got a guy like Thor, you just don't want to get him angry. He can start bullying people, making plays and really mucking up this game. And Vision, you never know. You said about him processing and being a good schemer. He can come up with good plays. I'm pretty sure Vision could also just like read some books about basketball and watch like hours and hours of film about basketball in like a snap, right? And then be the smartest basketball mind of all time. So that's kind of nerve-wracking as well for Coach Bucky Barnes.
Yeah, definitely. So in the movie, right, Team Iron Man, they definitely have to rely on creativity. And ultimately, a lot of that is coming down to Spider-Man. And that's something that we already touched upon a little bit. But one other thing with Spider-Man we didn't mention was his web abilities on defense. He can just take the ball away. Now, again, he'll have to be careful with goaltendings if he's, trying to shoot at the ball as it's coming down. But for the most part, a lot of that with, trying to intercept passes, all of those kinds of things where, if Bruce Banner is able to use some of these different abilities, I think that, on each of our teams, a lot of the abilities go hand in hand together really well, whether it's Spider-Man, in also this Spidey sense, the instincts, right? He might be able to say, okay, if it takes, half a second to shoot the web, then, realistically, that's a long time. Passes don't take half a second. So, right, you need to have that Spidey sense and know when the pass is coming.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then on that front, like Groot, if Groot's on defense or on the offense, I should say, and Spidey's trying to intercept the pass, Groot's got to be ready to slice that web.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, you got a whole bunch of back and forth now going between the powers here, the powers that be between these teams. It's going to be quite the show off, I would say. It'd be great. I want to see this happen. We need to make a video game about this or something.
Yeah, I know. I mean, in some episodes I've done with different hypothetical matchups, there's some sort of tangible way where you could sort of see it playing out. Like Giannis Antetokounmpo, he was a character or a player in Madden for, I think, was only a limited time, but just things like that. There were some ways to figure it out, but there's probably ways in mods and all different things you could try to implement these players into a video game scenario. But ultimately, yeah, it would be definitely must-see TV.
No, it would be so cool. I love this idea, by the way. I think it's the coolest idea that you have for this podcast. And I'm a little jealous that you did the Marvel Heroes versus Villains hockey game, because that was so fun. We could have incorporated this in a couple of different ways. I'm glad we did it this way. It actually, when we first like walked through the idea, I was like, oh, we already know who's on what team, who's not. But it was still really fun to talk through all the five guys, and the bench guys make it such a wild card that it was super duper fun. And like, I was thinking when we first came up with this idea, we were talking via email about it. Now I'm trying to forget the villain's name. He's one of Thanos' guy. Oh man, now it's going to kill me. I got to look it up. The guy who can just like control matter in.
Oh yeah. Yep.
What's his name?
From like the beginning of Infinity War, I think it is, when they like invaders. Yeah, I'm not sure his name, but I know you're talking about.
I'm looking it up. I'll find it in a second. Oh my! Oh, Ebony Maw. There we go. Ebony Maw. Like if he was in this game, like if we did villains in this game as well, Ebony Maw he would be unstoppable. He can just stop you from doing anything. Like he could just take the ball and be like, bad audio, but I'm taking my finger and just like moving it around. You can take the ball, control it, and move it around all over the court, right in the hoop. Like Ebony Maw would be an absolute cheat code in a Marvel basketball game. That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe this is a whole league, right? You've got your Team Cap, Team Iron Man, and then you got your villains.
Team Guardians. Like you just get everything going. That'd be so fun. They need to make more video games. I don't know if you've played the Avengers game I think it's on Xbox as well as PlayStation. I'm not sure.
No, I haven't played it though.
Well, it's decent. It's fun. It's not great. Didn't get great reviews. I thought it was better than the reviews, but not awesome. I've heard great reviews on the Guardians of the Galaxy video game so far. But anytime you put all these heroes in a game, whether it be, an actual game about what like the MCU type stuff or some random thing, like think about the Mario universe, Super Smash Bros. Or Mario Soccer, Mario Baseball, like all that stuff is so fun. If we could figure out a way to get that going with Marvel, sign me up. Take my money.
Yeah, definitely. Because, I've thought about this before, is there any way you could put it into some kind of simulator? One day.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, so wrapping this up now, any last thoughts, and you want to let the listeners know where they can find you, Subway Sports Talk, etc.?
Yeah, for sure. So I am on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok now as well, all at Subway Sports Talk, just how it sounds. Subway Sports Talk, TLALK, except on Twitter where there's a character limit. So it's Subway Sports Talk, TLK on there. It's a very annoying little thing, but it is what it is. Also, my personals at Pete Kennedy with 2 Y's. That's across the board as well. And my podcast, Apple Podcast app, Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts, really, you can find Subway Sports Talk there. We're talking NFL already this week. Going to be talking basketball, NBA stuff as well. And really just throughout the rest of this football season, grinding away on the NFL and keeping up to date on the NBA. It's going to be super fun. And that's it. That's all I have to plug. I don't have anything else. I posted a TikTok today. That's where I'm at in life. I never knew when TikTok first came out, like, yeah, I'll be posting TikToks. Then I realized, hey, there's a really good crowd on here. I posted my first TikTok like a couple of months back or whatever, and I got more interaction on my first TikTok than like my previous 5 Instagram videos. I'm like, what am I doing? I got to get on TikTok. So catch me on there every once in a while saying some weird stuff.
Yep, and you can find all of those links down in the show notes. And yeah, thanks again for coming on, Peter.
Thanks a lot, man. This was super fun. Maybe we'll think of another idea one day. I'd love to come back on and do another one of these.
Yeah, definitely. Would always love to have you back. So hopefully you enjoyed that episode with Peter Kennedy. Again, you can check out all of the links down in the show notes to find out more about him. And yeah, hopefully we'll be back here with another episode. Hopefully on Wednesday, hopefully on schedule this time, assuming that I can record early enough in the week. Thank you for listening to this episode of Substantiate. The best way to help support the show is to, number one, tell your friends about Substantiate. That is the number one way to support us. The second way is to leave us a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or Podchaser. Number 3, follow us at SubstantiatePod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Hello, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Dr. Issues.
And we're hosts of Capes on the Couch, the podcast where comics get counseling.
Superheroes don't always get to go home happy. That's where we come in.
We offer psychiatric and mental health analysis of comic book characters.
So check us out at capesonthecouch.live and across all social media platforms at Capes on the Couch.